All right, welcome back everyone to Lakers latest. I hope you guys are having a good Thursday. Hope everyone had a good Wednesday. We are now one day closer to Friday, mercifully. I know we're all waiting for it. Hope everyone has some good plans on the weekend. I honestly don't know what the weather's like in LA right now because I'm on the East Coast. You can see it's very nice behind me, about 67 Fahrenheit right now. Sun's out. Couldn't ask for anything else. Just a beautiful day all around. But yeah, I hope everyone's had a good week so far at work or whatever else you have. If you got anything going on the weekend, have a good time. And yeah, we're almost to Friday, guys. Just hang in there. So we're getting there. But yeah, I'm gonna excuse me. Allergies are really bad on the East Coast. But I'm gonna start it off today with one of the biggest NBA stories over the past 3 weeks. I very briefly discussed it maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I can't remember when the initial report came out. Um, but it's regarding obviously the whole aspiration thing where Pablo Torre, an ESPN investigative journalist, kind of went through all these back channels to find this whole deal with Kawhi where he was a no-show and got 28 million and now it's just become this massive investigation. Just it's pretty crazy that someone kind of outside of the NBA could go out of their way to find all this stuff, but somehow Adam Silver's up there talking about it, and it's like they don't even know how to find this stuff. It's like, how does Pablo Torre have so much access to this stuff and is able to investigate the stuff and find all this stuff, but no one else in the NBA organization really can? That's just strange to me. I don't know if they're trying to cover it up, but not saying they are. I just find it strange. But obviously, it's been one of the big talking points of the NBA over the past few weeks. They are doing an internal investigation on it. Whether anything happens remains to be seen. One far possibility that probably won't happen, but it is a slight possibility, is if obviously the NBA concludes their investigation, they find that maybe the Clippers were at fault, they did intentionally hide this stuff, Kawhi knew about it. It is conceivable that his contract could get voided. Now, also, this is important to note that yesterday there was a report out that said the Clippers are basically done building around Kawhi. They're sick of him. I mean, he's going to be there barring anything disastrous like a contract getting voided, but they're done building around him. They're not. I can't remember if he's in the final year of his deal or if he has one more year after this, but they're done building around a guy that, frankly, plays 3 games a season. Doesn't really care about playing either. He got his money. It just doesn't seem like he really gives a damn every time he's out there. But he's still Kawhi Leonard. He's still, when healthy, which is like 6 games a season, an unbelievable player. But the idea of his contract getting voided does seem a little far fetched to me. But if we were to go out there, right, and say that it was going to get voided, which again, I don't think it will, but it's, I don't know, maybe like a 5-10% possibility at this moment in time. Obviously, if the NBA concludes that, he's at fault and all that, and then things in the back channels would go quickly. But him getting voided is a small possibility. So let's just take a minute to look at that scenario. If it happens, which it probably won't, but let's just play devil's advocate here. NBA continues their investigation. They find Clippers, and the other thing was, I think I saw some potential penalties for this. Could be Kawhi's contract gets voided, they'd lose draft picks. Steve Ballmer would be out like $8 to $10 million. So there's a multitude of consequences if this thing comes true. But if Kawhi's contract were to get voided and he leaves the Clippers, first of all, retirement wouldn't surprise me with Kawhi. Like I could see him just snapping the finger and be like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm bored of this. I don't really want to do this anymore." I don't think that would be the case because he could still definitely get a ton of money. Now, here's the question: if his contract got voided, let's say sometime in the next week, which I doubt is going to happen, or even 2 weeks, whenever maybe when they conclude the investigation, no one really has cap space. No one outside of like the Nets, and maybe a few other garbage teams that no one wants to go to. No one ever wants to go to the Nets. They're just completely irrelevant. But outside of those teams, like, no one really has cap space. So if he wanted to actually make the most money he could, it would be going to a garbage team. Now the question is, if he did want to go to a good team, might have to set the minimum, or maybe there's still some teams out there with the MLE to offer. The Lakers obviously are not one of them because they gave it to Marcus Smart already. But if Kawhi was like, okay, I'll accept a minimum somewhere, is the Lakers a possibility? Like, could they realistically be like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna get Kawhi. Like, this is something we're focusing on Kawhi. We think we're gonna get him. We think all this stuff is gonna work out well. I don't know. Again, reports a couple of weeks ago were just that Kawhi never wanted to play with LeBron. and that's one of the main reasons he didn't come to Los Angeles. Not Los Angeles, obviously he did come to Los Angeles, but one of the reasons he didn't come to the Lakers was because he didn't want to play with LeBron. He didn't want to be in that his second fiddle or stuff like that. So for me, it's kind of far fetched to think that now he could come to the Lakers with LeBron still here and Luka here. It's like, okay, you're going to be third fiddle in the 6 games a year you play. So if it did happen, it's something the Lakers would have to look into, right? I mean, maybe he wouldn't want to leave LA. It's Kawhi Leonard at the end of the day, but realistically, if he didn't want to play with LeBron, I can't possibly imagine he wants to now change his mind to go not only play with LeBron, but now play with Luka, who's obviously the face of the franchise. It's never going to be Kawhi. So one thing to keep an eye on, but I don't see it happening. I don't see him being voided, and I certainly don't see the Lakers being in contention to sign him if it does. But we'll see what happens. All right, training camp. I got the dates down now correctly. So the teams that have like preseason games, I think it's outside of North America, there's like 6 of them. Their training camp starts about a week before. Their media day, I think, is a week before. The Lakers are not one of those teams. So the Lakers training camp starts September 29th. We know I believe that's also media day. And then we have first preseason games a week after that. So for me, like, what are the things that we're looking for in Lakers training camp like that we should watch out for, that we think these are the most important things, the things to keep an eye on? I put a tiny little list down here. I have the LeBron-Luka connection. I've said it before. The Lakers will go as far as LeBron and Luka take them. Obviously, they do want to potentially trade for another guy like a Wiggins or Aaron Nesmith to a lesser ability. But, there's a multitude of guys, and we've talked about Markkanen. This would be a huge one. But there's a multitude of guys they've looked into. We'll see if any of that actually happens. But that LeBron-Luka connection is going to take them wherever they go this season. So that's the number one thing to look out for. How does that connection look coming out of training camp in the preseason compared to last season? DeAndre Ayton, definitely. Obviously, we're not going to see training camp, but it's going to be important for him to get in there, show that he cares, show that his effort level is high, that he really wants to be here. He really wants to work on his defensive game. He wants to be a great teammate. He doesn't want to, mope, complain. He's going to do everything he can to help the team on and off the court. That's another thing I'm looking at. Lesser so, but Adu Thiero, I'm definitely excited to see him. Obviously, we didn't really get a chance to see him in Summer League. We'll get a chance to see him, I'm sure, a good amount in the preseason. So excited to see his athleticism on display, his defensive tenacity, all that. Obviously, the shooting, we'll get there. That's something he definitely is going to need to work on. But I think that I'm very excited to see him. He was a guy I really liked in the draft. Jake LaRavia signed a 2-year deal. He's obviously, the plan is for him to be a big part of the rotation. He's a really good shooter, solid defender. How's he going to play off Luka, LeBron? How are they going to get him open looks? Is he going to get more open looks than he did with Sacramento, than when he did with Memphis? So, and that's obviously training camp. We're not going to have eyes on that, but we'll see it in preseason. But these are the things that I would hope that they kind of focus on in training camp. And then the last thing would be just Marcus Smart, Austin Reeves. Who do we think is going to start? Or do the Lakers want to go with a more defensive-oriented lineup where Marcus Smart starts? Or do they want to go that ultra offense where LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves are all starting? So those are all things that we're going to keep an eye on. It's going to be very interesting to see how they kind of allocate those minutes in preseason and in affect the regular season after the preseason. So excited for training camp to get going. Excited to see how everyone meshes, to see how the new pieces fit. Hopefully, Ayton is ready to go. Obviously, he's only on a 1-year deal, so him giving an effort and trying his hardest is important, especially for him if he wants to make a bigger contract after next year. So, yeah, those are all things that we're going to keep an eye on going into training camp. All right, next we got our normal guys who are available. Are they not? So now I'm going to talk about Mitchell Robinson, who is the Knicks center, who obviously is an incredibly talented defender. He's when he's healthy, he's unequivocally the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. No one comes remotely close. He's better than basically everyone. The guy gets offensive rebounds that you can't even justify some of them. He just outworks everyone. He's a guy that you really want in your team. Now, 2 things about Mitchell Robinson that you have to pay very close attention to. Number one, this is the last year of his deal. So it's not like you're going to trade and you're like, if you trade for him and you want him, you're going to have to re-sign him. He makes $15 million a year this year. Assuming he can stay healthy, I think he's due for a raise. He's probably going to get, especially I've been seeing what some of these guys are getting. He's got to get 18 to 20, I would think. And again, assuming that he can stay healthy. Now, Mitch is an unbelievable defensive player. I remember last year in the playoffs, he had this one possession where he guarded all 5 Celtic defenders, moved around. It was crazy. I'm like, I don't know another center in the NBA that could actually do that. So he's an incredibly talented player. He's also, by all accounts, a great teammate, very funny guy. But he's a guy that I think would be an awesome fit for the Lakers. They can right their wrongs of, I believe it was 7 years ago. There was a report that the Lakers promised Mitchell Robinson they were going to draft him, I believe. It's a 25th or 26th pick. They decided to go against that. They drafted Mo Wagner, who has become a decent player in the NBA, but to me isn't even remotely close to the player Mitchell Robinson is when he's healthy. So and I don't know if the Knicks are seriously shopping him. I'm not sure about that. I don't think they are, but it's someone that the Knicks do need to make a decision on. Do we want to extend this guy, or do we want to lose him for nothing? Or do we want to trade him and get something for him? So that's a decision that the Knicks front office is going to have to make at some point this season. So he is a guy who conceivably could be available if they decide they don't want to re-sign him to a long-term contract, especially with Karl Anthony Towns already there. Now, the flip side of that is him and Cat can definitely play together. He kind of does complement Cat. It's kind of that Cat Rudy Gobert style where, Cat's probably going to play the 4, Mitch will play the 5. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the Knicks utilize him, whether he's going to start or come off the bench. But he is a guy who potentially could, I think, definitely become available as the season goes along if the Knicks decide they don't want to give him an extension, because they have an incredibly savvy front office, and I feel like they wouldn't want to lose him for nothing. But if I had to put my hedges on it, they would probably sign him to an extension. But it's definitely one to keep an eye on because he's the exact type of center, elite defender, unreal offensive rebounder that the Lakers could really, really use. All right, we're going to finish it off with Andrew Wiggins. Hold on. Sorry, my battery saver just popped on. So I'm running out of battery. But yeah, we're going to finish it off with Wiggins. We've talked about Wiggins a bunch a couple months ago, and then we briefly talked about it weeks ago, and then last one I talked about it because all the reports are that they're re-engaging in trade talks and that this is something that maybe could conceivably happen before the regular season. Have another update on that. Basically, as we know now, we're hearing that the Heat right now are not currently interested in any of the offers the Lakers are giving them. Everything that we're seeing is that they would prefer to keep Wiggins in the season, not like the full season, but they would prefer to start the season with him, see how the year goes, and then, if things aren't going great or if they don't think they compete, then probably come back to it and put Wiggins out there to potentially the highest bidder, which the Lakers should try and be the highest bidder. It's going to be interesting to see because he's going to go back up. Again, I've said it before, the Heat are going nowhere. They're going nowhere fast. They're stuck in no man's land. So it doesn't really make sense for me for them to keep Wiggins. He's not a part of their future in any means. They're not going to win a championship anytime in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They don't have the pieces. It would make more sense for them to trade Wiggins, get some young talent while they still can before they potentially lose him for nothing. So that's the latest on the Wiggins stuff. I think it will probably go cold as we get closer to training camp. And again, it's not impossible. Like, out of nowhere, we could see the Lakers trade for Wiggins. Like, that's still possible that they re-pick it up and it happens out of nowhere. It just seems like that the Heat probably want to hold on to him at the beginning of the regular season, and at some point they will re-engage in talks, assuming they don't get something done now. But for now, I think it probably won't happen until sometime in the regular season, maybe near the deadline, maybe in December. We've seen December trades before, so yeah, that's where we're at with Wiggins. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it seems like they'll probably hold him at least through the beginning of the regular season. But yeah, we'll see what happens. That's all I got for you today, guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys next week.